This is the Note Closer Show, where you get the latest developments in distressed note investing and learn the secrets of how you can control millions of dollars worth of property for pennies on the dollar. Get educated and entertained by someone who has closed thousands of deals and lives to support you in achieving the same. Now, here's your host, CEO of We Close Notes, Scott Carson.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closer Show. As always, excited to have you today. I'm extremely excited to have our special guest today. He is an expert at what he does, and he is working with so many of our students and clients across the country. I've had the good fortune of knowing him for several years now and seeing his company evolve in a variety of fashions in the positive. And it's become, I mean, he's always been an asset to us, but seeing what he do, and this guy has a passion for helping so many people accomplish big things, streamlining systems, streamlining due diligence. So if you're a note or real estate investor listening to this episode, you're going to want to definitely take some notes. I'm going to have a link to a webinar that we did with JD on Note Night in America. You'll be able to listen to that podcast, but I highly recommend that you watch it. But we are honored to have our buddy, Mr. JD Bates, join us on here from notepros.com. Good morning, JD. How's it going today?
Thank you so much for having me, Scott. And it's going great. Actually, it's a pretty nice sunny day where I'm at. So yeah, it's a good day today.
So tell people, because you work abroad, you don't work here in the United States. Where's home at for you now?
I'm not in the U.S. I am kind of like a U.S. born because of my family's father's side, but I've never lived in the U.S., right? I've always lived in Latin America. And I am from Costa Rica, but I'm currently all the way down south in Argentina.
Argentina, and you've bounced around. You were with Nicaragua for a while as well, too. And
Right.
and you are truly well, not really virtual, but you do a lot of virtual training and virtual business because you work with so many investors here in the United States, right, JD?
Exactly. Yeah, like before COVID and remote work was cool, like this is how we've been working, right, for a couple of years now. And it's a total virtual company, right? We have like me, I'm here in Argentina, and then I have like a project manager and a developer in Costa Rica, and then we also have people in India and many other parts of the world. So that's kind of like how we built this company, right? Totally remote, totally digital, but it works like any other company that you might encounter, right? And we have our processes, we have our clients, we have our way to deliver things, and it works.
Yeah, it totally does. Now, what would make you want to create? Let's talk about the inspiration behind what you did here. Because a couple of years ago, you reached out to me with a student of ours. Right. And was like, hey, we're thinking about coming up with something. So what was the inspiration for creating Note Pros before we dive into the nuts and bolts of it?
Right. So when the company started, right, one of the first clients that we started serving were note investors. And that's completely that was completely random, right? Because I didn't went to look for a niche like, oh yeah, I'm going to get into note. Like I had no idea what was note investing, right? So we got this client, right? And this client was a note investor. And then we started, basically helping him with very basic stuff. And then we kind of grew to help him in his whole business, right? In his whole note business. So from his website to help him with his social media stuff and his due diligence, right? So obviously the process for due diligence, a lot of note investors use virtual assistants. And that's kind of how we started to get to know the due diligence process of the note investors.
Yeah, that's always, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say then, since our company basically is a digital company, we, evolved into doing software and stuff like that. So that's how basically we came up with the idea of Note Pros. Okay, wouldn't it be nice to create an automated tool to streamline all this due diligence stuff that we're doing manually? And that's how we started.
Yeah, if you look at that, that's always one of the biggest questions and one of the most highly attended webinars or podcast episodes we do is when we start talking about breaking down due diligence, because it can be overwhelming. Right. People are used to sitting, let's just say in Austin here, and they get in a list of assets from all across the country. I have seen realtors have emotional breakdowns, not knowing where to begin, crying oh my God, what do I begin? What do I do? You know, and I'm like, whoa, just chill.
Right.
And there's a process for it, like with anything. And for most people, like you said before, if they weren't hiring you guys or VA, they were hunting and pecking on the keypad. You know, jump into Zillow and then jump into the tax association websites, checking taxes, going to like Rent-A-Meter to check the rent rates, and then trying to find square footage and bed baths and all that stuff to kind of find a number. And that takes a while, right, JD?
Right. And it is basic stuff that you need to know, right? So just for you to know, if it is a townhouse or how many bedrooms does it has is a tedious process. So we wanted to, basically take the load off with an automated tool. And this is how every business should be, or is evolving, right, into automation. So yeah, we just came up with this idea, and we grew from a little, property scraper into a full-fledged, real estate platform. I think we can compete with a lot of the other real estate platforms that are out there. We offer very similar services, and I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, you do. I mean, I get pitched on software or SaaS all the time. You know what I mean? And they're like, and I'm like, okay. And the first thing is to come down, because you have to realize that most investors listening out there that are starting off are on limited budgets. We all know that. They're like, they're used to coming from the traditional real estate side, where they're sending out postcards and direct mail and bandit signs that cost them. They're dropping thousands of dollars a month, and they don't offer like, especially if they're not making any money income. They're like, I'll take the time. I'll take 30 minutes per asset to go in and look at each individual property on the list. And if you got 50 to 100, you don't have the time or the patience to do that a lot of times. And that's what I so love about what you guys have done, is basically taking a spreadsheet, copy pasting over basically the 100 addresses at a time, more or less, and really dropping it in there, and voila, give it a few seconds or a few minutes, depends on your internet. Right. And what pops up, JD? What's the kind of the things that pop up right now? All
right, guys. So it basically is basically a sheet, right? It's a
Excel
table. Yeah, it's like a table view, right? So you first copy all these assets, right, that you want to look for. You can do 50 at a time for optimal performance, right? Okay. So if you don't want to break my site, just please do 50 at a time. No, I mean, if you do more than 50, it will just take longer.
Yeah.
I'll just tell them, listen, do 50 at a time. So if it doesn't, start
slow down.
Slow down. So you want a fast result, so you can just.
But I'm serious about the 50 at a time, though. That's still quite a bit, and it's still, I mean, literally, boom, boom, boom. You get up, go to the bathroom, come back, it's done. I mean, you've got your list of stuff, right? So it's pulling. What is it pulling at this point?
Okay.
It's pulling a lot of stuff.
So it will pull basic property data: bathrooms, finished square feet, the low value and the high value. We pulled that from Zillow, and when it was last sold price, the tax assessment and the tax assessment year, so the amount and the year when it was the tax assessment, the type of house, the year built, the lot square footage, the rental value, and we added Google Maps integration, so you can go ahead and check it out where it's on the map, right, and do all your Google Map stuff. You can see our list of realtors. We connected to realtor.com, where you can see a list of realtors within the same zip code. Mm-hmm. And then this is a super early. We finished last week. I haven't been able even to send out a newsletter about this, but we finally have features that we were working on showing city data. So we can now see for each asset, we can see the county that is in, the county population, the poverty numbers of that county. Housing numbers, we see the occupancy status, the vacancy status, and the tenure, right? So it's a lot of data packed in a single scrape that you can get in less than a minute.
Wow, that's great. I mean, that's some new additions to it, because that's one of the most important things we tell people. Like, listen, hey, you're not saying that you're going to buy everything in Austin, Texas, or some of the hotter states. There's some secondary markets and outside markets. but you're given data to say, hey, this is not a bad area, or it is a distressed area that you may not want to be taking real estate down because the poverty level is increasing or higher. Right. The population is not there. That's awesome, man. That's a new addition. That's a heard here first, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly. It is actually exclusive for this podcast. And like I said, I haven't even sent out a newsletter, but it's live. So if you go to the site, and it's live. So that is super cool. We spent months working on this one, a couple of months working on these last features here. And the idea is for you to not only see the data of the property, but also the data of the market, right? Which is super important. So because a property might be looking good within their numbers, but where is it located, right? Is it an area that you want to invest in? And that's something that you definitely, every investor should be looking into.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful thing. Now, you've added some things to it as well, which is really nice. Besides just pulling the information, and people can export the spreadsheet literally, so it's easy. Right. Copy it into it. Right. Just the address, city, state. You don't need zip codes. It runs the reports. You can check off the box and then export it back out to marry it back up with your spreadsheets. And that way you really can see a lot of stuff is done. And honestly too, the only times you've seen things where they're like no data pulled is if it's usually really a remote property. And that's usually the first sign. If I kind of recognize the city, but it pulls up no data, like there's a reason you probably don't want to buy that.
Exactly.
Because, or a reason it's on a distressed spreadsheet because it may be a good looking house, but if there's only a town of 300 or 5,000 or less than really your desirable numbers, just move on and go from there. But literally seconds to pull this stuff. It saves hours. If you think about taking, let's say 10 minutes to just check one address, of checking websites and all this information at 50 assets in 10 minutes, that's 500 minutes. That's what? Divided by 60, that's what, 8 hours, eight and a half hours, basically.
The normal time for going through a tape, we've asked, right? We've come through like a little survey. It's around a day and a half, right? If you only do that for a day and a half, that's how long it's going to take. So a day and a half of work is kind of reduced in within 10 minutes, maybe, or less, 7-8 minutes.
Very less, because the fact is that we have to basically paste it in there, copy the addresses in there, and let it run for a minute or seconds, or depends on how long it is, and then coming back and then just evaluating your data. You've taken all the heavy lifting, literally, and really, where do I go? What do I look? What websites do I go to? The hunting, pecking, back, forth, and eliminated that. So you've been one spot. Now, I want to make sure and clarify one thing. This is an automated valuation model. It's basically your online valuation. It's not a true heavy BPO value or realtor looking at it value. This is to help you on your upfront due diligence. It's not meant to replace that, but it's meant to save you time to help filter down the assets that you want to be making offers on, right, JD?
Exactly. I mean, obviously, we aim to be able to tell you, you don't need any other tool. You don't need to do anything else. That would be awesome. But no, we're realistic on our value offer, right? Our value offer is help you to cut down time on your primary due diligence, right? And then as Scott says, there's still a lot of other steps that you have to take in order to make sure that you want to be able to look into this asset, right? This is basically a tool to put in your arsenal while you're doing your real estate work, right? Your investing work. Yeah. So that's our goal here.
Yeah, and whether it's notes or REOs or fix and flips or stuff like that, this is a tool that will work regardless of that information, because it's pulling the property valuation information and other important information by scrubbing other websites all in one spot for you. Now let's talk about this, because you've added some things to it here, but before we dive into it, let's shock everybody here right now, because people, like, I'm used to seeing, like, I had some group from Arizona came and said, oh yeah, it's $500 down payment and then $149 a month afterwards for our software, where it's $1,500 lifetime access. And that is one thing to turn a lot of people off. Like, I gotta spend $1,500 or don't even have a note yet. Let's talk about the investment, or I should say, it's a small investment, but let's scare people here real fast with how little and how amazing Note Pros is. What's the price for just the scraping side of things, JD?
Okay. You guys ready? All right.
Yeah.
So we only the only investment that you have to do is a monthly. This is a SaaS software, right? Software as a service. So you just basically pay per month, and it's only $27 per month that you have to invest in order for you to be able to get this scraper tool, right? $27 a month, and then you can do, like I said, a couple hundred scrapes a day. You do 50, 50, 50, and you can go through a tape of 150 to 100 assets in a day. And let's say if next week you have another tape of 150, you can scrape that. So there's no limit on how many scrapes that you can do. So everything is within the same subscription, right? So $27 a month.
Yeah, that's cheap. I mean, that's less than what most people are spending on coffee on a week. You know what I mean? Or thinking back to what we used to do with hiring somebody in a VA to go out and pull these individually, that could be anywhere from $4 to $8 per line per asset. And then if it was an asset you didn't want to, guess what? 200 assets at, let's just say $4. That's $800 for one tape versus $27 to get all the same information here in a lot faster time frame versus waiting around for 48 to 96 hours, if not longer, to get them. Nothing against those services. We used them for a year before we found Note Pros, but Note Pros immediately, you saved me thousands of dollars a year immediately. And that's why I was like, and the beautiful thing I love about what you do, JD, you're also very open to people coming back and communicating and say, hey, I'd like to add this, or can you add this? And you've been really responsive and great customer service to all of our students out there. So let's talk a little about that. Sort of, you've evolved the software with that. Now you've got all this county statistical data besides just the property data. You've also added something here recently to really help people do a deeper dive besides just the automated due diligence. Let's talk a little bit about that and some of the things that you've added recently. Exactly,
guys. So the idea is for us to add a second module within the due diligence, right? So the first step would be be able to filter out the assets that you like, right, through the scraper. So you can see through the scraper, okay, I scraped, I don't know, 20 addresses, right? And from those 20, I like 10 of those. Okay, great. And so we decided to add more reports so you can see more details within each property, right? So the first part is for you to be able to do due diligence in bulk. And then the second step here that we added property reports, right? So you can see from, property details like, location information, when it was last transferred in the conveyance, prior sale information, site information, all of those things, right? Transaction history report. So it will give you a total history of the vesting, the liens, the conveyances of the current owner, of the prior owner, lien reports, title chain and lien reports, sales comparables, tax status reports, foreclosure reports, and document images reports. So for those of you who are familiar with an O&E report, this is kind of like a broken down O&E report. Although we have a total view report, which is kind of like it brings together all small pieces of all these reports that we went through. So we wanted to basically offer some type of O&E report on demand, so you can either order. Just I only want to be able to see what are the comparables in this area, so you can just pull that one report, right? Instead of ordering an O&E report, pay a bunch of money for it and wait a couple of days to get it. So you can just get this one on demand on here.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about it. An average O&E report can cost you from $85 to $150, depending on what's located. Now, what's the cost for these reports that you're pulling?
Okay, so property detail reports is $5. The total view report, which is kind of like our version of an O&E report, is $12.
What?
So, $12. So what, like 90% less of an O&E report? And instantaneous, right? So you don't have to wait for it to get it. So if the report is available for that property, it will pop up and then you can download it and that's it, right? So you don't have to go through, wait to get it, right? Any waiting period. Transaction history report is $12 again, the same. Open lien is a little bit more, $15. The title chain and lien report is $40, which is that's the most expensive one, right? But all the other ones, sales comparable, $10, tax status, $10, foreclosure, $10, and document images, where you can actually pull up the actual images of the documents for the last transfer and last reports. Last finance and last transfer. Those are $10.
Love it, love it, love it, because it saves a lot of money. Now, obviously, where would you use a lot of these reports? This would be, I'll give you an example. You've got a list of assets from a bank or a seller that you're under the radar to really pull the trigger and get a good value, give a good bid amount. So this allows you to take that second level. Most people, I'm a big proponent that, hey, don't start spending, $100 to $200 for a BPO and O&E before you get approval on this. But this way allows for, hey, if you really want to come in with a competitive offering to see really what's on title, to see what's going on with that property, pay a little bit extra to get these reports sent to you instantaneously. And that becomes a stronger bid to the asset managers. Anytime like, hey, here's my bid, you wanted 55, I'm coming in at 50 because of this, this, and this. And here's the reports that I pulled already to verify that. And as a note seller, when I see somebody that's done a lot of work, I take their bid a lot more, I give it a lot more value than somebody who's just sending a spreadsheet with no type of documentation, no notes on it, and they're way off, you know what I mean? And that's you still have the ability to fade your bid and things when you do pull a full O&E report or some other things like that. What would you say to those out there? What would you say, are there anything missing from those reports? Obviously, besides having a realtor pull true BPO value or pulling a true comparative market amounts when they look at anything versus an AVM model, what would you say, anything kind of that they need to really focus on, or something that would be after the bid comes in that they need to maybe spend a little more time on, JD, besides a realtor's eyes and ears on a property?
Right. Well, definitely a BPO. That's something that you need to pull through. That's something that we don't offer. Right. We do have a vendor that we could add in here. So you can just, get the report from that vendor, right? It's probably going to be, very competitive charges, right? Our goal here with the reports and any other thing that we offer is not to, squeeze every single cent that you have, but actually to give you the more value for the less, for the better price, right? So that's our goal here. So I would say those reports, but anything else, guys, you can go through this, and it obviously depends on the kind of investment and the investment strategy that you have. Also so there are different reports that you can get dependent on that, right? But we made a ton of effort to be able to look, all the different type of reports that are valuable for you guys. And I think we added 10 different reports here that gives you a lot of good information.
Well, it gives you an amazing amount of value, bang for the buck, being able to pick and choose which reports that you want to add depending on what you find. So you do your initial due diligence on the values. You take that list of 200, you narrow it down to 50. Okay. Right. Then you start running reports. It's cheaper. Then you narrow that down to the final true 10 that you want to make offers on in a fraction of the times, ladies and gentlemen. So let's talk about this. I mean, taking a full day or 2 days to knock out due diligence upfront due diligence on full tape, then having to take it to the next step to cut those down. So you're talking already 2 days, 3 days, 4 days before you get bids in.
Right.
But now, if you're using Note Pro, you are a pro when it comes to pulling your values. Your bids are coming in $24 to $40 versus people waiting, 4 to 5 days to do that. And that's the whole thing with the market being speed, having speed to submitting the bids and controlling the bids more than anything else. Versus the stragglers coming. That's the whole thing. It saves so much time. We've already talked about the money side, but saving the time so that if you're working part-time, which a lot of you guys are out there, you're doing your note investing one night a week or from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. when people aren't available to pick up the phone and call a lot of times. This saves you a ton of time to be able to do this easily and then get your bids in and go off on your merry way while everybody else is sitting there trying to squeeze in during their lunch breaks or somewhere around where the boss isn't peeking over their shoulder, right?
Exactly. And that's part of our philosophy, right? How can technology help my business succeed over the competition, right? So that's the whole idea of what digital services should be. How this technology is going to give me a competitive advantage over my competitors, and to up my game. So that's it, right? We wanted to be able to give you an edge, because like Scott says, some people might take a day, 2 days, 3 days to get bits in, but if you get back the same day with a bunch of data to your investors and to the sellers and everything else, oh gosh, that's going to give you guys so much credibility. And if you guys have like a system in place, with Node Pros and some other stuff in there, you're setting yourself up for success.
Yeah, definitely. And that's Note Pros with a Z, not an S. So notepros.com is the website you go to there. Now, you've also added a couple things that help people transition as they grow their portfolio, as they're adding things. Let's talk about a couple of the things that you've added new. They're additional charges, but it's a great transition for a lot of people. So let's talk about those two other things, JD.
Right. There's a different module, right? So we came to a realization. It's okay. We're creating a tool that is going to help with the first part of the investment, right? Which is the due diligence, to put it in your bids, etc. Right? But then afterwards, what happens when you're finally got that investment in, right? So you have to manage that asset, and a lot of people are managing those assets with their Excel sheets, and that might work fine. That works great for a lot of people. It's very simple. There, you can manage you should manage your portfolio with a system that you're comfortable, right? But we definitely know that there's more space for improvement there. So we created a piece of software that helps you manage your investment portfolio. So it's called the Asset Manager, Node Pros Asset Manager. And in this module, you're going to be able to manage all of your assets and all of your investors, all of your JVs in a very, very simple way on the cloud, right? So we give you, it's basically a piece of software where you have an admin section. On this admin section, you are going to be able to create users for the platform, right? So if you have like a portfolio manager, you can create a user for that person, right? In the admin section, we also have manage investors. So investors is where you're going to enter all your investor information. And then actually the investors, you set up a password for them and they can log in to the platform, and they can see all the numbers related to their JVs with you, right? So instead of sending out quarterly Excel reports to your investors, you can tell them, hey, listen, anytime that you want to download things from the deals that we have together, just log in here. Here's your username, here's your password. Log in, and then you will be able to see everything related to us, to the business that we have together, and you're able to not only see it but download it and keep it for your own records, right? So you can manage your investors in here. You can manage your JVs. You can manage your assets, right? And then in each section, on the financial section, you're going to be able to put in all those numbers, right? So anything related to an asset, income and expense, an investor cash account, deposits, withdrawals, general ledgers, you're going to be able to put them in here. And then you're going to be able to create investors reports, JV reports, asset reports, cash flow reports, a ton of different financial reports that are totally automated. It gives you a different kind of data, like, what is the investor investment, the total investment, my profit, my ROI, my total ROI, my annualized ROI, how many active notes or assets do I have, and how many of those are closed. And, we have nice graphics in there and everything, so you can better read that data, right? So, this is kind of like a white label solution. So when you get into the paid version of the Asset Manager, because there's a free version of the Asset Manager, when you get into the paid version, you're going to be able to upload your own logo, give access to investors to the platform. And again, this is just another tool for you to be able to manage all of this, your assets in a very our slogan for the Asset Manager is manage your investment portfolio like a Fortune 500.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. I love the reporting. I love the access to it. Now, you mentioned I'm sure people are like, wait a second, did he say there's a free version of this? What incorporates the free version and then the paid version? So share that kind of breakdown for people on it. You hinted at it, but you kind of ran over there to go through things. And I guarantee people are like, what? I love this. What is it?
Hello? Okay, here we go, guys. There's a free version of the asset manager. So you can use it for free forever if you have, up to 5 assets. So if you have up to 5 assets, you can use the platform for free forever. And whenever, you want to use it more, you have a couple more assets you want to get in there, you want to be able to give investors access, you want to be able to personalize your dashboard with your logo, you jump into the paid version, which is also $27 a month. And you just pay that monthly, no contracts, no nothing. And yeah, it's just $27 a month, just like the due diligence module.
That's awesome. Think about the guys. A lot of you have a lot less than 5 assets. You're starting off with 1, 2. This is some place for you to be able to go on, upload your first couple of deals, and be able to really set things up so you look great. Trust me, I've paid $1 an asset before for some sort of software tracking platform like this. $1 a note per month, which I thought was actually really inexpensive, and it had a lot of things. But then I look back, it was also a way too robust a beast for me and my team. A lot of things. That's not saying Note Pros, the asset management is not robust, because you do, and you have the ability to, if somebody gets their service reading report, to download that and then import it and just match up the fields where you want to go. You have the ability to put notes in there for people to see things. But yeah, you can giving your JV partners or investors access to specific deals so they can log in and see the tracking and the percentage breakdown. Really another big bang for your buck. And this works, once again, if it's for traditional real estate or notes. So you've got both. So this works well, especially if you go from the note side initially and take the property back, it becomes an REO, or you pick up an REO that you turn into rental or owner finance it. It works either way for you out there. So that's a really valuable tool. Exactly.
When on the managed assets, you can put the asset on a category, right? So is this like you said, a performing note, the first trust deed, an REO, right? So you can put categories into your assets, whatever categories they are. You can you're going to be able to put it in there and make sure, okay, yeah, this asset is a note, this asset is an REO. So you're going to be able to manage different assets within the asset manager.
I love it. I'm just so tingly over here because you guys know that I don't come on and just share stuff all the time unless I believe in the product or I'm using the product myself. We're very, very specific about that. We don't let people pitch everything, Tom, Dick, and Harry pitch anything out there if we don't use it, because I respect your guys' opinion. I respect the value in knowing that, hey, here's what we actually use, here's what we're using, here's what we're transitioning to, so you hear directly from me that the things that we've seen him evolve, and with the Note Pros, that's notepros.com out there, it's just about. Now you started off with the scraping. And a lot of people don't know, you also started off with, you still have be able to find special asset managers or note sellers from different banks out there. You still have that, don't you, JD?
Yeah, I actually deleted that. But okay, yeah. So when we first launched the platform, it was only the scraper with far less data columns that we have now, and an asset manager database. So we actually invested some money and trained people to call the banks and everything else. And every bank that had an asset in the country, we called them, got the contact information for the asset manager, and we did that, right? But the list got a little bit old, so we have to update it, right? So, but we still have that list. So I'm happy to share it if you guys want to. I'm happy to share that list with you guys.
Well, let's make sure they get signed up. They're getting signed up for a while with you. Of course. That's a lot of value. But that's the thing. A lot of asset managers move. But you have a warm lead and a warm. I've got lists from a couple years ago. So if I call a bank that I haven't called in a while, and I simply name drop the old name, like, oh, you used to work with such and such. That's fine. Right. Here's the new person to do that. Still very extremely valuable. And yeah, it is a beast keeping up with that. But that's still, that was one I love so much, that you were pulling in the top 20 states and really investing in that. That's why I bring you on here, because other people are just throwing software together. They're not communicating with their tribe or communicating with their listeners or adding other values to things out there. Now, another thing that people struggle with a lot of times too, and this is an outside thing, is their social media marketing, their website creation. That's all stuff that you do as well, right, JD?
Right, right. And then just to mention something, what you just said, a lot of people are throwing software together, but it's software that that is built around their way of business, right? The way they do the investment, right? It's not software intended for everybody. It's intended for themselves. So that doesn't work most of the time. You have to create stuff that everybody out there can use it. That is this kind of manual, right? So and again, we're not in the U.S. We're not investors per se, right? We create products and software. So user friendliness and hearing what our users tells us is a very raw part of how we build things, right? So and then the part of the social media and stuff. So we still do all the things that we started doing with Node Investors back in the day. So we still do websites. We know the market's so good, that so well that you basically don't have to tell us anything. Basically you just have to give us your company information. We throw a very good looking professional website for you. We make social media postings. We manage all of your pages and make sure we do postings each week. So you have that professional online presence, right? And a number of things. Basically, we become the digital department, their IT marketing department of every Node investor in there. With some plans that we have that are bundles. So you have access to the software that we offer for nodes and real estate, plus or online presence services.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. You guys have really evolved and taken over things, and it's that you're able to do this because you do work remotely. You do work kind of. You're the international man of mystery.
Bates, JD.
That's right, Bates, JD Bates. I think I see a meme somewhere there for you.
Right.
But that's a beautiful thing, is that you guys are working remotely and you're passing those cost savings on to your clients. Right. Whereas a lot of people are like, oh no, we're gonna crank this up. I mean, you could charge definitely a whole lot more. With what you're doing, but you're making it affordable, making it a no nonsense step. If it's everybody's budget out there, whether you're a brand new investor trying to figure things out, you're an existing investor, heck, even if you just have one property that you've bought and you're house hacking, right? This can be something that works for you out there. Wholesaling, fix and flipping, note investing, being a landlord, whatever it might be. This is a software that can work for you not only on due diligence, but asset management. And then also communication with your investors and your database to get things rocking and rolling.
Yeah, we want to be able to provide all that stuff, right? And even if you're just starting into nodes, right? Like as Scott is saying, this software is useful for every other type of a real estate business that you have. And we kind of try to merge with your current services. So for example, if you're a real estate investor or somebody in real estate and you're doing well on your day job, let's say, for example, that doesn't mean that you cannot use us to create your online presence, right? We can still create a very good looking professional websites, social media postings, because we don't only do the services for node investors, we also have other investors in other industries. So we know how to handle, different type of clients and businesses and be able to provide the same outcome in our services.
Yeah, that's the thing too. I want everybody to realize it's different posts for different people. It's not the same post with just a logo and then the name swapped out. It's actually unique posts that work for whatever your focus is and in industry or your real estate niche there for you. And then the websites are put together great for things, and you can be add and take away and manage that stuff with your international staff. But that's the thing is, you guys think about out here. A lot of people are like getting rock and roll and they're trying to figure out that presence, and it can be daunting of a task to figure all this stuff out, trying to go and create it. Oh, I was talking to investors yesterday. He's like, oh, I got a free Wix website. I'm like, okay, are you a website expert? No. Well, don't try to go do it yourself. It's going to look like shit. No offense. It's going to look like somebody got a free Wix website. You get what you pay for with a lot of those. Free. It really has no value. Because at some point you're going to transition and now you've got to redo it. You might as well, as you've heard several of our guests before, start with the end in mind and build you a great foundational approach to begin with reporting, the due diligence, having a nice website that asset manager is going to look at and say, oh, this person, even though they don't know that you're just brand new, wow, this person has a really great website. They're walking the talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Credibility, guys. Online is your new business card, right? People is going to, oh, they have a website. Let's check out the website just because they're curious, right? Let's check out their site. Oh, wow, their site looks awesome. Wow, this must be, they must be, real, right? Legit. This people look legit, right? So that's it, right? So that's probably half of the, creating that credibility with asset managers and investors.
Yeah,
that's going to help you so much on closing deals.
Yeah, it totally will, because it will. Yeah, it'll help you find more deals from asset managers, and it'll help you close a lot more deals, because then your investors that you're talking to, whether they're self-directed IRA investors or people you meet up group, being able to say, well, hey, just go to my website, boom, it pops up there. It adds a lot to it, and then or being able to show, hey, you run some reports on a specific asset and something that you can have. So here's what we're kind of estimating, the breakdown versus just a picture of the property and a paragraph. Here's kind of the analysis that we have found and the reports that we were able to pull. It really takes away a lot of, well, let me think about this. No, I don't want to think about this. I want to fund this deal. Yep,
exactly. Oh, wow, looks good. Could you send me that via email? Yeah, sure. I'll send you that. They'll send you all the documents that you pulled from our platform and the scrape and everything else, right? Hey, listen, if we get to do business, this is our asset management software. We manage everything through here, so everything is transparent, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That works a lot better as if you didn't have any of those things, right? If you just had a handshake and a smile and some knowledge. If you don't have any of those, or if you have those along with sending all this information to investors, that really goes a long way.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's what you've done, JD. And I remember our first couple conversations. You're like, well, can you take a look at this? I'm like, I looked at this. I'm like, no, nope. This is not going to work. You've got to add this, and this, and come back a couple months later. Wow, it's all been added, and it's been added, and it's been added. And we have, you're a regular speaker. We have you on all of our virtual workshops because we value the software. It's a valuable thing. You've been on Note Camp before. So people have listened to Note Night in America or the Note Camp podcast. You've heard us talk about this, but this is brand new. And when I was talking to JD, 2 weeks ago, I saw this. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to have you on the podcast, because this is something I know a lot of people are expecting a big wave coming in. It is going to come.
It is coming.
Exactly. Set your business up professional from the get-go, set it up, get rock and roll, learn how to use this. It affords you the opportunity with the cost effectiveness to not only make more offers, save more time. Honestly, you save, and this is no BS aside, you saved me over $5,000 a year, if not more, when I immediately went to start using that. And so you're probably going to say, so is the check in the mail?
Oh, well, that's a good thing. I'm looking to buy a new laptop. New computer for me, yeah.
Exactly. But here's the thing, guys. There's some great things out there. You can go to notepros.com. It's NOTEPROZ.com.
Yep.
Go there. You can test out the software. There's it's $27 a month. There's no long-term contract. Nothing like that. Get rock and rolling. It will save you in a medium amount of time, expenses. I mean, we've got a list of 329 non-performing first liens that just came in from a fund. And so my one-on-one coaching students are running it through that to check it out and pull their due diligence. And then the same thing, guys and gals, you've got to learn to not try to do the least amount to succeed. You have to go above and beyond. And this is a way for you to take that level with your investors, level with your software and your management to a whole new level at a very affordable price that fits every budget. I mean, a book of stamps costs what these days? It's think about that. What, 50 stamps at 50 is like $25, I think. Is that right? Am I right?
I think so. Yeah.
It's basically for 50 a book of stamps you're paying for a whole month there of Note Pros.
Exactly. Yeah, and if you guys have any issues with the obviously, as every software, it has some learning curve, right? Even though we try to make it as simple as possible, there's always questions. And our support is super good. I probably answer emails within an hour or 2 hours when they get up. So You can always reach out to us via email if you have any questions, and if you need like more like a little tutorial or on phone support, I'll jump on the phone and help you manage solve any issues that you might have.
Yeah, and the best way for them to reach out to you, JD, what's the best email for them to reach out? JD@notepros.com.
JD@notepros.com.
Perfect. So notepros.com. And here's the thing too. I know that you're working through these new editions. You're actually going through and and filming some short videos and short training videos as well, so that people can access stuff, and they'll have all that access included with their monthly charge, right?
Exactly. I have to build. So I spent a couple of years just working on the platform, right? Now I have to work on to show how to use people the platform, right? There's tutorials and everything else, which is another daunting task, right? When you think you're done, it's like, no, you need to do a little bit more. So it's okay. So now we're kind of building all these tutorial videos and all this stuff. They will be on the site. But it's basically more for the asset manager, which is a little bit more complicated, because the scraper is very simple to use.
Yeah.
So but we'll be creating all of those, and they'll be available on the site.
That's awesome. Love what you're doing, JD. Thank you so much for adding some great value out there to the audience. I mean, guys and gals, no matter where you're at, whether you're located, whether you are here in the United States or you're investing from abroad, this will work for you. So it's what I love about it is it's simple, it's fast, but it's effective. And that's what, anytime you can save money and time, and most of you guys are on a budget and then you don't have a lot of time, this is the perfect marriage for you guys are getting rock and rolling and getting started and evolving to something more. So take advantage of what JD's offering. Go to notepros.com. It's NOTEPROZ.com. We'll have the links in the website at WeCloseNotes.com on the blog. We'll also have a link to the Note Night in America podcast. So if you actually want to go on over to the YouTube channel, you can actually watch Systemize Your Due Diligence in Seconds video that's on there, where JD actually was a screenshot and screen view of him going through each section individually and asking questions from there. So JD, I hope you'll have a great day. It's sunny there. It's cold and rainy and dreary here in Austin, Texas.
Oh man, sorry to hear that.
That's okay. You deserve it. Go have a fun time today. All right, brother?
All right. Have a good one. Thank you so much.
Thanks, JD. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Note Closer Show. Go on out there. If you're looking to close some more notes, go use Note Pros to help you with your due diligence and speed up your time and efficiency in being a note investor. Get your due diligence done faster, save you a lot of time, and look a lot better in front of your audience, your investors, the asset managers, and that's just, attract the right people to your audience. So go out there, take advantage of the amazing, really cheap price out there for everybody at notepros.com. And we look forward to seeing you all at the top, everybody.